Hello, beauties and beasties out there. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, the podcast for all things beauties and beasts. I'm DF, and I am not alone here today. I am joined by not one, not two, but three beautiful young ladies, my friends from the Brony fandom. You girls want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. I am Magpiepony, primarily known for productions on YouTube involving, you guessed it, ponies. And I'm known for voice acting as well.
I am the LostNarrator. I am known for killing ponies and my bloopers and having a potty mouth, but I'm known for mostly voicing Rainbow Dash and Applejack.
Oh, my turn. Okay. Hi. Hi, I'm truesailorcomet. You may, mostly know me from DF's audio drama, Daughter of Discord, and I play Chrysalis and Lightning Dash, along with Adult Scootaloo, and also make a lot of the music. And I also have my own audio production as well, and do a lot of voice acting throughout the community and stuff like that for funs.
So what happened, we've all met through, YouTube projects and such, fans of each other's work, Actually, when Magpie heard that I was in the need of a new pop filter, she said, we've got this old mic and pop filter that's just collecting dust if you want it. And I'm like, oh, sure, if there was something I could do for you in return, well, you can just have us be guests in your episode. And coincidentally, one of my patrons, TyrannosaurusVenom, actually suggested Magpie and TheLostNarrator, so even better. And True is actually joining us. Well,
I'm in her room.
Yes. We're all together now because we were at a wedding. Woo! Yeah, so as of the moment of recording right now, Katie and Will, they are now husband and wife.
Desperate forever.
Yeah, okay. So before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to my patrons, Duskwing Dragon, Satu-Hana, and TyrannosaurusVenom. If you want to help keep this podcast going, just click the green button in the right-hand corner of the screen or click on the link in the description below. All you have to do is just pledge a small amount of money a month. It doesn't have to be totally big. It should just be $1. You can get perks such as listening to episode previews or listening to episodes a few days early, or you could join the closed Skype group and listen to the episode recordings live before anybody else. And just a few updates on the patron program. The True Beauty package, which used to be $30 a month, is now bumped up to $35 a month due to the cost of the rewards. And just so you know, in the True Beauty package, you can request any guest as long as it's, not like a multi-million-dollar actor from Hollywood that I won't be able to get.
Bruce Willis now. I was going to say, but Brad Pitt, come on.
You think I have Brad Pitt's number. Okay, so TyrannosaurusVenom said in the Skype chat, give my best wishes to the bride and groom. Yeah. Yeah, probably off on the honeymoon right now.
Already?
Well, at least the first part.
Hi.
Okay.
How you doing?
So what we're talking about today, since this is really something we all know about, finally doing this on the 6th episode, we are talking about Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Which is pretty much like the go-to version of Beauty and the Beast we have today. That's the first one that everybody thinks about. Yeah, not the original version written by Madame Laplace de Beaumont, but the Disney movie, the 1991 animated film, the very first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And, usually I go into this whole plot summary with a 5-act structure, but since a whole lot of people know how the Disney's Beauty and the Beast goes, I'm not really going to get into that, unless you've been living in a cave for the past 27 years.
Or my boyfriend.
We should probably get the gist of it for those who haven't seen it. If you've listened to my first episode of Beauties and Beasts and listened to Madame Beaumont's version of the tale, it pretty much follows that closely with some changes, like Belle is an only child, no brothers or sisters. The father is not a merchant but an inventor. Belle is pursued by this stereotypical he-man who wants to marry her because she's the most beautiful girl in town. The Beast is not alone in the castle. He's got servants who have been transformed into household objects because Because
because magic.
See, I thought it was a symbolism for psychosis, but we're not going to talk about that yet.
I think really with Belle's character in Disney emphasizes more. It did say in the original fairy tale that she did like to read books, but the movie kind of emphasized that aspect of her a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think just made her more of a modern woman than... Because, the Belle in the original tale, she did have some agency, but this kind of, it developed the relationship between the Beauty and the Beast more. Like, he wasn't just seeing her at dinner and not just proposing to her every single night. At least he waited a while before posing that question.
Plus, I think it was nice to have a Belle character as a more realistic representation of women, where they're not just waiting for a man to sweep them off their feet. I think for Disney specifically,
she had a hobby.
Well, this is probably...
I love how that she had a hobby. That's what makes it all better.
but her love of books was symbolic for her being intelligent. So it's like women aren't
It's not
just...
even that, but it's the idea that with the song that she sings, I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. Like, where? What? Get specific! Road trip! Whatever.
Anyway.
Well, the original fairy tale was written in the 18th century, and actually she wasn't really that interested in marriage either, though that was more like she wanted to stay with her father, not leave him alone. Sure. Yeah, the original fairy tale was more like preparing young girls for an arranged marriage, even though they're in a very difficult situation, they can still have some choice in the matter. Like, if you don't want him to do anything uncomfortable to you, you can say no, and he's not necessarily going to get mad. Well, at least he didn't get mad. This was really more updated for, 1990s, just kind of, emphasizing more on the appearances aren't everything, true beauty comes from within.
Yeah.
Like, not, oh, someone loves me. I'm totally just gonna love that person just because they love me and not because we have anything in common. Nothing like that.
I mean, but Beast is all cuddly and cute. Like, I don't know, for me, growing up as a kid and seeing the Beast and not realizing how gay I was, I thought the Beast was the cuddle bug. I actually thought that growing up. But whatever.
He's your favorite Disney character.
He is my favorite Disney character out of all the Disney characters. Beauty and the Beast is one of my most favorite movies to date.
Yeah, Beast is definitely one of the more complex, because, he's not complete. It was actually in one of the bonus features of the DVD, like, what they were trying to figure out, who is a Beast? Is he a man or monster, villain or victim? And we realized he's all of these things.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not the Gary Stu kissy red-lipped prince like you would see in, like, Snow White.
I mean, but when he transforms back and that first image, you're like, okay.
I'm not used to this
Maybe
yet.
you should go back to the Beast. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that was like my problem with the original fairy tale, which I think Disney noticed, that the Beast didn't really have as much. Like, he was just kind of this guy just waiting in the wings, like, just comes out at dinner, like, will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Like, dude, you can do a little more than that. Just saying.
Like, there were levels to the relationship. It wasn't an instant romance.
It started out with, she went into the West Wing, which was something she was not supposed to do. Why did she do that in the first place? It's what I'm wondering.
Like, how did you know he wasn't going to kill you?
I know you're headstrong, but that's still there's being headstrong.
But she's a strong, independent woman that don't need no man.
No,
she needs a fur beast.
No. There's being strong and independent, and then there's being just plain stupid.
It's true.
No, she's
gonna die.
completely stupid, or at least
In that moment.
Yes.
But she reads all those books. She's supposed to be smart.
Well,
maybe she's book smart, but not street smart.
And
that's what it
we'll
is.
We'll talk more about how Belle was adapted in the 2017 live action version later. But anyway, what I was saying, like, he's very mad at her. For one thing, she almost destroys his rose. Actually, he's understandably mad because, and she's running away. And the wolves are after her because the wolves just somehow always come out whenever someone's running through the woods.
It's convenient.
Yeah. And, he saves her. And, like, that's the moment where she starts to realize, maybe he's not totally a monster. And there was a moment, that's, like, kind of one of my favorite shots in that whole movie. Like, she's about to jump on the horse, and then, like, they just have a shot on her face and just go into this slow decision that, I can't just leave him out here in the snow while he's injured. Yeah. And then they just get kind of like this old married couple fight. Like, you hold still, it wouldn't hurt as much. If you ran away, this wouldn't have happened. Yeah, because that's the thing. She's talking back to him, like, you know what? I may be
this.
You know what? I may be here as a prisoner, but I'm not going to take your crap.
Actually, yeah, that's the whole reason why I loved Belle.
Yeah.
Belle just does not take any of the beast's crap, and she throws it right back at him.
And that's why it's not Stockholm Syndrome. She fights back.
Even Emma Watson gives a very compelling argument. Like, Stockholm Syndrome, it's when the captor has you completely isolated and not interacting with anyone else, but she wasn't isolated. Like, I think even in the original fairy tale, like, he did let her go see her family. And she does take control of some situations. And I think the next point in their relationship was when he gave her the library. Like, some have said that that's kind of like just so he could get with her or whatever, but it was important because he was appealing to her interests, which other people like Gaston had never done before. Like, Gaston had not even tried.
Like, he put her book in the mud.
I know, but how can you read this? There's no picture.
Women don't need to read. They're just gonna be trophies. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So that was like a really big moment. Like this huge library. Yeah, I know you like books, so, and if you like it, sure, it's yours. Yeah. And
It's like, chicks like books. Get her a book.
and then it just progresses from there. Like, she helps him being gentler, and I've been thinking about what it is that the beast gives her. I think it's because in the beginning she felt like she didn't belong there and wanted to venture somewhere, but she was starting to feel a sense of belonging with the beast, with the household object servants.
He didn't treat her like some odd thing like the whole town did.
Yeah, especially in the Broadway musical, which is mostly pretty much just direct word from the movie with some additions, but, they have scenes where they're like, they have something in common, like they're both considered different by other people. Right. Him a lot more literally. That those two taught me that, appearances aren't the number one thing in a relationship. They did not fall in love with first sight, as you said.
Yes.
Belle was pretty much my spirit animal. That was me all through middle and high school. I loved reading, and everyone else was like, why are you reading during break? Why don't you just talk with people? I'm like, because I want to read.
I'm gonna hide.
Everyone thought I was just unhappy doing that. I'm like, well, I like books.
Like, rule for everyone. Just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely.
Yeah, and aside from the books, Belle, I think, was she was the one who taught me how to say no before I realized just how important that was. Gaston, she didn't like, so she said no. So, every guy in middle school who I'm like, you guys make fun of me all the time. I'm not sure us going out's a good idea. Sorry. It kind of taught me to see what guys are really appreciate you and what guys I don't get the mentality.
I definitely think on the Disney end of things, Belle ushered the way for the more modern princess.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was the one princess that started the trend of princesses are not defined.
Yeah, she rejected the handsome guy, yeah.
Did Beauty and the Beast come out before Aladdin?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I was just thinking but Jasmine, okay, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that.
Ariel, there was a little bit, but not
She was
quite.
like the transition.
She's the transition. No, Ariel was the one that really, not Ariel,
No,
Belle. Belle is the one that started it.
Yes. Like Ariel was the little baby's class, and then Belle's the graduation from high school class.
I would say that Ariel is a more accurate representation of her age than
she's 16 years old, yes.
When you watch Snow White, you don't think, wow, that's a 14-year-old girl. No. You don't think that.
That's kind of creepy.
It's very creepy. Whereas Ariel, you could tell she was 16. She acted 16. So I think that when they said, okay, well, now they don't need to just stick to teenage princesses. Let's kind of age them up so that they're more appropriate
Yeah.
in romance.
Yeah, and just a quick point I'd like to make about Little Mermaid. I know that's not the movie we're talking about. You know, they're all saying that she just changed everything about herself for one guy, but she had actually dreamt of being a human before she met him, and he was really just the final driving force.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, part of being a modern woman is choosing who you marry. Ariel was really like the transition between like the original trio of Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty, and going to Belle, which just really skyrocketed our modern princesses. Okay, let's see, I'm looking back at my notes.
Well, I have a topic, if we're allowed to.
Go ahead while I'm looking through this.
I think one of the most fascinating characters in all of the movie for me is Gaston. And the reason I say that is that if you were to look at him outside of the film's context, he's not a villain. If we're talking the 1991 version, all Gaston is really guilty of is being arrogant.
Yeah.
And how is that the only recipe for a villain? Especially when you look at Maleficent or Scar or even villains that kill. Gaston, he just knew what he wanted. And he wanted to go after it. And you know what? He did plot to put her father in the asylum, but he knew she wouldn't let that happen. So it was more of a, I'm just setting it up. I don't think it's actually going to end up that way.
There's actually this musical parody of a Disney thing called Twisted by Star Kid. And it's basically like Jafar is the good guy and all these other people. And
we've seen that.
Yes, like they have Ursula stepping in, like they wouldn't let a woman rule the sea. Like, that's an interesting thought. And then Cruella comes in. I just wanted to make coats out of puppies.
Why would you do that?
Cruella's just evil.
Get out of here.
But I mean,
sorry.
That is what was most interesting, because looking back as a kid, I could easily identify Gaston as a bad guy. The way that they structured his character and the way he interacted with other characters, I was like, ooh, he's so bad. But as an adult, I went back and looked through and I was like, is he though?
No, he's not.
He's really not.
I
mean, she shows him, in the end, she shows him a picture of a beast roaring. And she expects people to think, oh, he's cuddly.
No, he's cuddly! Like, he just needs a good cuddle, okay?
Of course.
Yeah, he looks at it, it's like, what is that thing? And then Belle starts saying, he's kind and gentle. I'm like, wait a minute, you have feelings for this guy.
I mean, sure, there's jealousy intact, and I know that that's a driving force for Gaston in that scene, but he's also a beast. He's got sharp fangs. I mean,
He's my friend.
Gaston seems to be like the unspoken village leader, and he kind of takes it upon himself to drive forward the day and to protect the people and to, he kind of asserts himself as that.
The thing I don't like that he did, though, was put the father in the asylum to...
Right.
That's the one big thing.
But didn't the Beast technically do that too?
Yes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I'm not discounting that.
I was gonna say, if any character gets gypped in this whole story, it's the dad. The dad just gets thrown all over the place. Nobody cares about him.
It was like I'm saying, though,
it's just sad. He's a good dad.
I know.
He only plotted to trick Belle into thinking that. He never actually assumed Maurice would go to the asylum because he thought Belle would never let that happen. So she'll marry me. But I don't think his end goal was to put the father there. I think it was just a means.
But the fact that there's an ultimatum in the first place.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. And like I said, he's set up to look like a really bad guy.
He's like the perfect parallel for the Beast because, the Beast wasn't in danger of becoming Gaston, or if you think about it, I keep thinking like if there was a sequel, if Gaston had lived, that... spoiler alert.
Or if the Beast never turned into a beast.
I know, anyway, that the Enchantress would have paid Gaston a visit, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, in the beginning, the Beast/Prince is spoiled and selfish and unkind, and, being turned into a beast kind of gives him a huge wake-up call.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not the crap.
So was it that the Beast was more worthy of redemption because he held a higher position of power, maybe? Because he was a prince?
No, okay, no.
More threatening?
I love how that it comes to hierarchy. Your status is what allows you to get redeemed.
But if you're going to be a leader, and I mean not an elected, but you are a leader, wouldn't it be more efficient to teach that lesson to him rather than the Gaston of the story?
Yeah, especially we're really going to get into the 2017 one for a number of reasons.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, before I want to say thing is, the difference when Beast, actually was Belle's decision to take his place. It didn't even cross the Beast's mind until she brought it up. And, at that point, he was kind of desperate. He was running out of time, and there was not just him to consider, there was also the servants to consider, because they were linked to this curse, too. So, yeah, that might have gotten in his mind, and...
the dad and the servants got gypped.
I think that's something also that they took into consideration with the remake, is Gaston's character. I think they realized that he wasn't a villain enough, so they had to give him more of a reason to be
exactly. Actually, he was less of a jerk about Belle's reading. Like, he even tried to take interest, like, see, you got that book there. Have you read it? No, but, books.
Yeah. But doesn't that make him even more menacing? To have him pretend and to have him show this side of himself to her, that when Belle leaves the scene, he switches. Like, that to me seems creepy. Much more villainous than someone who's just face value. You know what I mean?
There was a deleted scene I wish they had kept in the movie when, when the villagers see that Belle is... trying to teach a young girl to read, and they just dump all her wet laundry on the ground.
Wait, that is in the movie, isn't it?
No, but after that, Gaston goes and he says, stop this! Whatever you are doing, I have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah. I did see that. I wish they would have kept that in as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's like he's trying, but he's also not entirely invested in it.
It seems kind of more... true to real life, because there's so many sides to different people, and a lot more threatened. And
I've had a lot of Gastons ask me out. I could tell they're trying, but they're not really into it. Like this one guy who said so he asked me out for coffee, and I'm trying to put him down easy. I don't drink coffee. Well, how about a cookie then? I have rehearsal after school. I really did. Well, then I'll wait for you with a bouquet of roses to take you to Disneyland. And might I point out, the nearest Disneyland was thousands of miles away. It's nice try, but I know you're not going to deliver on that.
Yeah.
There was someone that was flirty McFlirty with me, but that, was definitely a Gaston type, but then asked this girl out right behind me, and I was like, well, okay, then, whatever. But then he kept on trying again, he could actually get to me, and he was just I don't care if my real name's, but it's Patricia. Even during, the middle of a test, Patricia. And, other guys started doing it, too, and I'm like, what? Sorry. But I'm just and then the teacher totally called him out on it, and I was like, ha ha, joke's on you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think we should just move on to, the live-action movie, because we're really getting into that now. So, if you didn't know... For some reason, if you didn't know, that in 2017, just last year, Disney released a live-action remake of their 1991 film, starring Emma Watson as Belle, and along with others like Dan Stevens as the Beast,
Luke Evans.
Yeah, as Gaston, Josh Gad as LeFou. That was awesome.
I love him.
Yes.
Yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
Fabulous LeFou.
He made him a really awesome character.
Okay, well, me personally, I think they just... kind of fixed everything that was wrong with the first one. This really big plot hole. They said that the interest said that the rose would bloom until his 21st birthday, and yet in the song Be Our Guest they say 10 years we've been rusting, so he was turned into a beast at 11, despite what the stained glass windows are showing us. And also there's the fact of Mrs. Potts and Chip. She is too old to have kids, or a kid that age who's no more than 10 at least.
That's not completely screwed up on any level.
So didn't adults look a lot older way back when? Because I feel every time I look at a yearbook of a parent or a grandparent, they look older as seniors, and we're younger and younger.
Her hair was grayish white, pretty much. Yeah.
People died,
or how someone can forget a castle and a prince.
Yeah.
And how everybody easily finds a castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But logic, what?
yeah, but they've like fixed plot holes like that. Like they made the time of the curse more ambiguous. All the memories of the castle and the servants were erased from everyone around them because the servants were bound to have loved ones somewhere.
My favorite part is the fact the stipulation of if he doesn't fix everything or do what he needs to do with finding love, that the inanimate objects literally become inanimate objects.
That's so sad.
That is, when we were watching that movie in the theaters, I'm like, this is so much darker and I love it.
Oh, God.
Where the hell was this in the original?
Oh God, when Chip was about to fall down, like I knew it was going to be a happy ending, but I thought he was going to break before that. Like, no. Thankfully, they saved it.
I cried so much.
Actually, that concept was from the Broadway musical. That was before the idea of them slowly becoming more inanimate every time. It really raises the stakes, and because relatively speaking, just being a beast forever and just being walking, talking household objects forever is not that bad compared to just being pretty much dead.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like he just gets to be a furry for the rest of his life.
Plus, it really adds pressure to the beast, which is what the Enchantress wanted.
Yeah.
He has their lives in his paws.
He's taking responsibility for his action, not just himself, but everyone around him.
But then wouldn't that make the... Well, I mean, I know it doesn't make the love that's felt cheaper, but, the pressure to love, wouldn't that make it harder to genuinely love someone?
Well, but that's the catch. If you think about what the curse actually is, that he has to love someone and be loved by someone, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to love. And I think he was more afraid of loving someone else than someone loving him. Yes, I know he states otherwise, but my theory is that he was not prepared to open himself up to that. And that's what scared him about Belle. Because when Belle was first in the castle, he wasn't happy about it. She offered to change places with the dad, and he had to kind of think about that. He didn't immediately go, yes, a woman! Break my curse.
True.
True.
I wish that was a woman. Yes, let's do this.
Okay. Yeah. I want to add on to that. Yeah. Because in the cartoon it's like, I hope you like it here.
Yeah.
But in the new one, it's really more like you gave her a bedroom, and like, what, you want me to charm the prisoner? Or even like when he's looking through the mirror, like, because the moment that he looks through the mirror just to check in on her is different from the animated movie. Because in the first one, she's like, I don't want to get to know him. I don't want anything to do with him. And he's just like, this is hopeless. She's not gonna like me. But she says nothing. But she's in the live action film for that moment. She's just kind of looking distressed, and you can see in his facial expression, he's like, wow, I feel kind of bad now, and she's actually kind of pretty.
Yeah. But I think that was definitely part of the beast's complex. When you feel like you're unattractive and unlovable, it is hard to be able to love.
Be like, screw the world!
Well, because you don't want to open yourself up. You're afraid if you open yourself up and you let your heart out there that you're just going to get crushed. And I feel like that is Beast in a nutshell. So he keeps everything close to the chest.
Yeah, I think like the Broadway musical, there's that song, If I Can't Love Her, that a lot of people know that he was
that song.
It's not like If She Can't Love Me. Well, that was the reprise, but it's first like If I Can't Love Her, who's like she's this beautiful girl, like the first one to come, and it's like, if I can't love her, then who the hell am I supposed to love?
I wish they had that. I love Evermore, but I wish they had that song in the musical because it ties in so
beautiful.
The other one, it ties in so well with the entrance music. That entrance music, I think that's one of the things that made me want to do music.
It helps that they brought back the same composer, Alan Menken's It's Jazz.
Yes, absolutely.
That's one of my favorite tracks ever. I'm just like... Okay.
Yeah. I think there are 3 different beasts with the animated and the Broadway and the live action. I feel like the first beast in the cartoon is like the Rager. He's a lot more temperamental than the others,
and that's why he's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. The second one is I think more depressive because he always got those depressive songs, and the one in live action feels more like the angsty, whiny teen.
Oh man, he's hashtag emo.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're like Romeo and Juliet. Was that not a surprise? I'm sorry? It's got all love and pining and blah.
But isn't that great, though? Because if I, as a kid, if someone would have said, that prince that was just transformed in front of you is only 21, I'd have been like, why? Like, he seemed 30. His mannerisms were very adult, even through his depression and through his anger. He didn't have cute little teenagey moments like that I love. You know what I mean?
It's like, well, some of the books are in Greek. Was it Greek? I think it was Greek, right?
Yeah, Greek.
Okay. Yay, I got the quote right. Yeah.
Yeah, and also with like he kind of unintentionally scored some points with the library in the updated version. Yeah. Like originally it's like I just want to do something for her, and they just asked advice from the household objects. But more, I was like, well, here are some other things you could read, and then just sees that moment where she's like, oh my God, all these books.
And they actually share the hobby, like, from the get-go. Like,
I know, like,
yeah.
Because in the cartoon one, well, you have you seen the special edition with when they added the deleted song "Human Again"?
Yes.
Yeah. If for those of you who haven't, like, I've known people who haven't seen that version, they added an extra sequence in around 2001, I think, when they did the special edition DVD. It was a deleted song that was used for the Broadway musical "Human Again." And they added a scene where the Beast reveals that he cannot read. And, well, I learned a little, but it's just been so long. So she helps him out. It was kind of cute. Like gave them a little something to do, and they did that more in the Broadway musical. But you know what? It doesn't really make sense for a prince to not have an expensive education like he does in the 2017 version. And I think that really just makes them more intellectual equals, which. Yeah, I think a couple should always be an equal on some level.
But then again, it could be the yin-yang effect, too. Like,
true.
Like, hi. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I think, too, that the reason that song was so well requested and liked and eventually animated was that if you think about it, the reason Belle and Beast fell in love wasn't because of Belle or Beast. It was because of the enchanted objects. From the
do this, do that.
Yes, they were giving advice on both sides.
They were shippers.
They were.
Oh my God.
We'll be shippers again.
Wow.
We'll be shippers again.
My mind is just blown. Okay.
They were the original shippers.
The original shippers.
Little questionable
Lumiere and Cogsworth were the original shippers.
Oh, Jerry Orbach and David Ongenstars, rest in peace. I had to say that at some point.
I feel like that's a tweet. Cogsworth and Lumiere were the original shippers.
Yeah, they were. They absolutely were. And I think that's why in the animated version they were so crucial and why they were such beloved characters. Because you as an audience member were rooting for them to get together too. So it was almost like you could put yourself in their place.
Yes.
And I know that their motivation was just they didn't want to
stay that way
and or die. But at the same time, like, without those objects... Do you know what I mean? Like, it would not have come to be. Not to mention the fact that because of them and their influence, that's another reason why this isn't Stockholm Syndrome. Because it wasn't the captor who was trying to enchant the captive. It was the captor's friends and servants.
So it's Stockholm Syndrome from the servants.
He's like, what the hey are you doing?
Right. They were breaking the rules and they were... That's another thing I think is funny, is Belle got in so much trouble for going into the West Wing, and they were like, why are you breaking this rule? Like, don't do it, when they were told she shouldn't eat. And they're like, forget that, she's gonna come eat.
And we're gonna make a whole musical production of it because,
they
screw
knew.
Logic.
But you don't get to break the rules.
That's another thing. Another change they made. Okay, in the animated movie, like, they changed why Maurice was in the castle in the first place. I mean, the original fairy tale is because he stole a rose that he promised to bring back Belle.
Right.
And then they did that in the live action version, but in the animated version, he was just lost in the woods looking for shelter. He didn't technically do anything wrong. Like, he was trying to look around to see if anyone was there, and the servants answered, so they're technically part of the household, so it wasn't really trespassing, so the beast kind of just flies off the handle. But
I like the remake, the 2017 reason for Maurice, because if you think about it, what is beautiful left for Beast to see? if not the roses.
Ah.
If you look at the scenery around in the garden and the winter and everything like that, the roses stood out as probably one of the last most beautiful things that he possesses. So when Maurice picks a flower, he's thinking nothing of it. But to Beast, that's probably one of the last most precious things he has.
Yeah, like that's what it says in the fairy tales, like, and also in the Jean Cocteau film, you could have taken anything except the rose, the things I love above all else, like showing his love for beautiful things.
Right.
Like, I think that was Beaumont's attempt to give him some depth, a little bit, but it wasn't expanded upon.
Because as princes, you would think that their most treasured things would be gold or jewels or expensive things. And Beast, as a character, has learned that no, that is not what matters. That's not what's important. And he couldn't part with it. He couldn't part with the one thing that he thought that he needed, you know?
Yeah, another thing about when Maurice coming to the castle, like, a sane person, as soon as they seen talking objects, they would run.
I know. He's like, oh, hello there. In the
Mom told me not to move because she said it'd be scary. Right. I'm out of here.
Oh.
Yeah, and why would they reveal it? So it's like, you're gonna scare him, and then Chip's just being a kid, and...
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, what?
And I'm cute, so I won't be scary.
How can they be scared of me?
Yeah, and also they had the horse actually come to the castle, so the horse actually knows where to go, which they didn't do in the original movie. I'm like, how does everybody find this castle?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they also,
the stars.
The mob,
the music, and also, like, the magic kind of also helped hide the castle because in the live-action version because of the lightning strike.
And snow in June.
Yes.
And just kind of, like, keeping the villagers from finding out and by not drawing attention to it or something. Like, they could have been just, like...
Except for Lightning Ex Machina that just blocked the other way.
Basically.
Lightning Ex Machina.
Well, at least that made Maurice less dumb and taking the scarier path. Then he had no choice. Yeah, they made Maurice, they have, all the characters, no matter how small, some depth. Like, Maurice, my dad always complained that how Disney dads are either very authoritarian or they're idiots, as he says. Maurice was goofy in the original cartoon, but he was still one of the best fathers. Like, he was supportive of what Belle wanted to do, and
absolutely.
But
my daughter, odd, huh? What do you think about that?
But just it made me gush more. Like, as soon as Kevin Kline started singing that really soft song with the music box, and we just see all these sketches of Belle when she's young, and paintings of the mother, whom we never heard about in the animated movie.
Right.
And just like, oh my god, I love this already. And I'm like 5 minutes into the movie.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's funny because I prefer the animated Maurice. I find his humor and his just campy nature to be so inviting to me. I think that's what I love, and I missed in the live action, though you do make a really good point.
Yeah, they kind of just showed the father-daughter relationship a lot more, and then
depth
just
and
yeah, especially with adding that aspect of Belle's character where she's an inventor and he's all for that, and he talks about
that was actually something suggested by Emma Watson herself.
Yeah, I know, she suggested a lot of things, like having the pockets in her apron for more practicality, and wearing boots if she's going to be walking around so much.
Yeah, she
and
was
working on a farm, yes.
She was very involved in the character-making process for what she could do and how she could portray it. And for
feminism,
practicality.
the feminism aspect aside, like, if you are working on a farm, you are going to want to wear boots.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, not those little ballet slippers.
I just thought that was really neat, that she connected enough with her character to say, I feel this character would have this trait or whatever. It gave her, as the actress,
she invented the washing machine.
I love it.
See, I love the fact that she did that, but the only problem with Emma Watson is her auto-tune.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love you, Emma, but I agree.
I wish I sat there and I was like, why didn't they just hire some other chick?
Because we don't do that anymore. We don't not credit.
Get the most horrible auto-tune I have ever.
Yes.
Because don't get me wrong, I can't sing. Mag has done amazing things.
Because
but
I wouldn't have wanted another voice actress to sing over because in the past those actresses never got any credit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I just Or I don't know if they ran out of time or if she just couldn't sing. I don't know what it was, but that was probably some of the I just cringed.
Actually, she can sing. It's just
she's not a
Broadway singer. Like, she's in pitch and everything. Like, that's what makes it even more confusing. It's like, auto-tune. Why did you robotize her voice that she was already in pitch?
Or what Disney exec was just like, it's auto-tuner. Just whatever. It's auto-tuner.
There was actually there was one moment where she was actually live singing, and, well, the director tricked her into live singing. It's like, didn't say the camera was rolling. You know, when she's in Paris, and we'll talk about that scene later, and she's singing How Does a Moment Last Forever, the Montre, I can't say it right now. Where's my French tongue? Yeah, and this is the Paris of my childhood. You can hear that's a lot more natural, and It's actually pretty sweet. Yeah, I think actually if you listen to the soundtrack, there's auto-tune in lots of places, not just with Emma's voice. Right. Beast, I kind of understand. You kind of need a computerized voice a little bit.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's nothing wrong with auto-tuning.
But not turning it into a robot.
That's the problem.
I mean, Beast's supposed to sound kind of growly when singing anyway, but it...
I think it's just, if you think about it,
just
there
give
was
her a little bit more
such high expectation.
Yeah. Paige O'Hare set the bar when because I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like, she sounds amazing. And I'm like, Emma Watson is okay, is she gonna knock this out of the park? And no, she didn't.
The bar was set so high, I feel like, and I don't know if this is true, but I feel like the team behind the music sat down and were like, we need to make this sound perfect because the bar was set so high. And so, like you said, the auto-tuning was more than it needed to be because they were trying to overcompensate for her lack of I don't know.
Broadway.
The good thing is most kids are not going to notice, so they're fine.
Yeah.
The adults are the ones that are going to be like, wait.
I'm just wondering how often Alan Menken got to meet with Emma Watson, because I know, especially when he had his partner Howard Ashman, may he rest in peace. If you don't know, he was a lyricist for the original Beauty and the Beast, along with The Little Mermaid and half the songs for Aladdin, before he died in 1991. Like Howard Ashman, he would like coach the singers, especially the female ones. There's like existing footage of him coaching Jodie Benson as Ariel and
basically as long as you have a good foundation, good pitch, and good rhythm, like if you have those foundations, you can improve to the point where you can be Broadway style.
Maybe they just ran out of time.
Yeah,
it could be. It could be either way. That's no.
Other than that, though, I really appreciated her portrayal of Belle.
Oh, yes.
I think
her acting was on par.
I think she brought a life to the character that was unexpected in a lot of places, and
like as soon as she sees a talking candle, she's like, nope.
Yes, that was great, because that's what you should do.
The people were saying, why is she being so mean and whacking Lumiere? I'm like, how would you react if you saw a talking candle?
Absolutely. I'd freak out too.
The talking candle, though.
When she like confronts the Beast, like, take me instead, and initially he's like you sure you want to do this, and then she just kind of tricks him into just getting the dad out of the cell.
Yeah.
Like that was like, whoa. Or even just one small moment where, she asks him to come into the light. Instead of just waiting for him to step in the light, she just grabs the candelabra and goes,
yes.
It's like, I'm not waiting for you.
Because it's like Paige set the bar, and then Emma's like, all right, so we've seen Paige. Now I'm going to take it a little bit further.
Yeah, we have Paige, then we had Susan Egan, and then...
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love her, too.
Oh, yes. If you don't know, voice of Megara from Hercules.
Yes.
And Belle on Broadway, the original.
Yeah.
And Rose Quartz.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true,
from Steven Universe. I love her singing voice.
Okay, a few notes about the songs. We've clearly established we love Evermore. I think that was, like... a missing song from the musical. Like in the Broadway show, we had that, after Belle first runs away and he's having that, if I can't love her, I'm just completely doomed. But this is like a song afterwards where he's kind of hopeful that she's coming back, but there's also the chance she's not going to come back. But he just knows that now that I've met her, then I'm changed forever. And yeah, I can't... Dan Stevens is actually pretty good.
Maybe that was his way of embracing the fact that he could love someone, and how it ended up the way he was afraid it would, where he would get hurt and nothing would come of it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
I think my favorite is... Well, I have a big gusher for power, like oomph. a lot of oomph in songs, so the Mob song.
Yes, that was
Yes.
so... I used to, like, skip over that song sometimes when I was little. Like, this is too scary for me. But, yeah, if they did change some of the lyrics to the original songs, like... You know, there was that moment where Gaston was... They definitely tried to make it more relatable to today, like the mob mentality we've got here. You people know what I'm talking about. Like, call it war, call it threat. You can bet they all will follow, for in times like this they'll do just as I say. And then LeFou proceeds to say... There's a beast running wild, there's no question. But I fear the wrong monster's released.
He's actually starting to question the person that he's been idolizing and crushing on.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. LeFou's redemption arc.
Yes, LeFou. That's, like, one of my favorite changes to the movie.
Yes.
I didn't like the character that much in the original, but...
He was just this goofy thing, like, hi, I'm here.
Also,
hi.
Josh Gad, wow, you are brilliant.
I think my favorite song is Be Our Guest, just simply because...
Yeah, Ewan McGregor, though I don't like his French accent, he did that pretty well, I think.
No,
He's a basically, like, Broadway singer.
Yeah, I know, he's, like,
I love him. Moulin Rouge is, like, my jam, but I just thought it was really funny. They casted someone who didn't naturally have the accent. I don't know. There's somewhere written...
His wife is French, but...
True.
Okay.
He re-recorded all of his lines after the movie was made because he thought he didn't sound enough like Lumiere. So I gotta give him props. He's dedicated. Ooh. But I just thought that was interesting. But the reason I love Be Our Guest so much is that it was the most fun to perform. I was in Beauty and the Beast in high school. I played a cheese grater.
Did they have a cheese grater at that time? I'm wondering.
I remember this story.
And my grandmother, who passed away that year, she sent me a bouquet of flowers coming out of a cheese grater at the finale of my first performance. But it was just so much fun, and in the Broadway style of Be Our Guest is so much more of a spectacle. Like, they pull out everything for that. I mean, you're talking like...
And then a little nod to Aladdin with that one moment.
Yes, I mean, it is incredible. Like, the movie versions are great, don't get me wrong. But the Broadway rendition and the play rendition of Be Our Guest is just so, like, inviting, and, like, everything's going on, and I don't know. That's just my favorite for that.
I wish I could have seen it. Yeah, definitely LeFou was one of my favorite additions, not just because he had a conscience, it was a lot less of a comedy villain sidekick relief, and one that just Gaston pushes around. You know, he actually sides towards the end. I'm gonna go into that, and also the fact that he's super, super gay, and they finally confirmed it.
He is so fabulous. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, queen.
Yeah, if y'all didn't hear, a few months before Beauty and the Beast release, Disney announced that LeFou was, like, the first official openly gay character, and there was a lot of uproar. Some very angry conservative parents wanted to boycott the movie, and then I'm like, did you see the original movie? It was kind of already implied.
Right.
And it also kind of gave that reason for him to be a flunky in the first place. He had a crush.
Right.
I want to talk about the homosexual subtext that was in the original movie. It was in the original movie. It was not just a new thing. It was there. Talk a little bit about Howard Ashman. I mentioned him earlier. He was a homosexual, and, you know, this was in the 80s and 90s when, you know, there's that increasing fear about AIDS and, you know, people blaming the gays for that. So Ashman wasn't too keen on Beauty and the Beast. He was more interested in Aladdin, but he still, like, put in the effort to put as much of his own soul into it. Like the Beast was representing homosexuality as something that everybody sees as, you know, awful. Yeah, I know I'm getting to really sensitive territory here because at least three of us are part of the LGBT community here. And
I'm a supporter. I'm straight, but I'm a supporter.
Yeah, and you know, it's because by the end, when he transforms and he's finally accepted, he's perceived as beautiful. You know. I know a lot of people don't like the transformation, but it's supposed to be a metaphor. And there was also a little bit about Gaston as kind of representing the homophobe who's possibly gay himself.
Right.
Yeah, and there was, like, maybe he had a thing for LeFou, or LeFou definitely had a thing for him. Like, I mean, you hear that song, he's praising the man like a god.
Yes.
It's like funny. Too much Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up that aspect, because I actually did not know that about the stipulations of homosexuality with the Beast. Because when I was growing up, Beast was the character I identified with. I didn't identify with Belle. I identified with Beast, and it was a very jarring thing being a little girl growing up, and other kids are like, "Who's your favorite character?" I'm like, "The Beast." And they're like, "That's weird. It should be Belle." Yeah. And because as a kid, I realized I didn't think that love was something that you could just, like, obtain so easily. Because, kids, they talk about, I have a crush on so-and-so and all this other stuff. And the Beast is, you're right. Beast is that character. He's just like, I don't deserve it. I'm this monster that no one's ever gonna like.
And when you take the idea of homosexual subtext into that.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh wow, that makes so much sense that gay little Losty thought that.
Yeah. And the relation...
It wouldn't surprise me if that was true of Gaston, because I remember as a little girl watching the animated series thinking, those 3 blondes are so cute. Like, why aren't they pretty enough for him? Like, I was just so distraught by that.
Well, they explain that later in the live action adaptation.
The fact that they were kind of desperate.
Yeah, they emphasize that more.
It wasn't a hunting challenge. He's a hunter.
Yeah, and also the fact that, they kind of emphasize that more, that, when you first see the 3 silly girls in the live action movie, they're just caked in makeup. And,
right.
And they're, like, was it their mother or something that was praising Belle? Like, she's a beauty and she's got no parallel, because, and she's not even trying. Like, you hardly ever see Emma Watson, like, if she does wear makeup, it's, like, she's got the natural beauty.
Yeah.
That's one of the other reasons I loved her casting, because she was just that natural beauty I like.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, so Howard Ashman was a lyricist, and also really so much more than that. He kept making story suggestions and such, and... Yeah, like in the mob song, there's that line when all the villagers are going after the Beast. We don't like what we don't understand. In fact, it scares us, and this monster is mysterious, at least. I really hate that they cut it out of the live-action version. I guess they were a little pressed for time. But...
How true is that, though, especially for LGBT?
Yeah, I'm just realizing all the LGBT subtext now, and I'm just like, wow, no wonder I loved this movie so damn much.
I know. I didn't even think of it until, like, this was brought up in my Beauty and the Beast seminar that I took in college. And I'm like, really, what? And then just reading the articles more, I'm like, huh.
See, it's like, so homosexual subtext, check. Original shippers, check. How many more things am I going to have my mind blown by tonight?
Yeah, and...
I think I liked it mostly because, like, it felt more realistic as far as relationships go and everything like that. And... the fact that, like, someone that's super big in town, is super awesome in town, is not the one that gets the girl in the end. And,
Howard Ashman, sadly died before Beauty and the Beast was released, dead tragically of AIDS, and they dedicated the film to him, and, when they decided to remake Beauty and the Beast, the director actually turned out to be part of the LGBT community himself and knew of this story and wanted to just expand on this little idea. And so, putting, like we're going to talk about LeFou's character arc, they just expanded on the idea of him having a crush on Gaston. The moment where the entire village is ganging up on the Beast, and LeFou is like, Gaston, don't you think? And then Gaston says, do you want to be next?
Oh.
It's like that one moment where LeFou's kind of just afraid of being exposed, so he goes along with Gaston, who's his waifu. Senpai? I don't know.
Or husbando, that's what it is, husbando.
I like the waifu better.
Gaston's his waifu.
Gaston senpai!
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and he says that, he sings that line where he's starting to realize, Gaston's kind of, he's going out of his way here, and
crossing the lines.
And then there's that moment where, he's crushed under the live piano, and he's like, Gaston, help me. Like, sorry, old friend. Like, ooh, ouch. And that's the moment LeFou realizes Gaston doesn't care about me at all. Like, why am I helping him? I've done all this, and he doesn't save me. Like,
say lust will make you do a lot of weird things.
Do you think this story would have less or more impact if Gaston's character was not there? Because I know in the original story there was not a Gaston character.
Yeah, I know.
Wasn't he introduced in the Jean...
Yeah, the Jean Cocteau version is like 1940s.
Black and
I
white
can't remember the
version.
exact year.
Super
Yeah,
French.
it's a French film, black and white. Actually, the live action takes some aspects of that with just a gothic castle look. Yeah, that one had a love interest. His name wasn't Gaston. And actually, a really weird thing is not only did he have him like, well, he was not just flirting with Belle. Still Belle, because it's French. Like he was forcefully kissing her. And
wow.
it would have gotten worse had her brother not come in. And thank God for the brother. It's like, what's going on here? It's like he asked me to marry him. And what did you say? No. Well, I'm glad. I may be a bum, but I don't want you to marry one.
But so I'm genuinely curious. Do you think the story would have as much impact without him?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like the conflict wouldn't really be as
Powerful, maybe?
That, and he's also kind of like your what not to do.
Yeah, and I still like him as a character foil for the Beast. Gaston, in the live action version, you said that they kind of expand on that more, where he's not entirely bad. He's kind of arrogant. Like, he was a hero, but, it was of a war very long ago, and that's explained more in deleted scenes, but I still consider that part of the story.
Yes.
yeah, and, it feels like he's been missing something, and I think he does like Belle some way. Like, she doesn't, she's actually a pretty decent woman, doesn't really go out of her way to make herself look like a fool. Like, he appreciates her in some way, but
I also kind of got the vibe, and I used this in my parody adaptation, Egghead and the Beast.
Go watch it.
I kind of got the vibe, too, that Gaston wanted to fix Belle. He wanted to help her to be more accepted.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've known too many people like that.
Or
guys.
just
Like, I can change you.
It's the idea that she's supposed to fit in a certain mold because certain things are expected of women, especially in that time era, and Belle is breaking all of those stereotypes.
And I think in his mind, he's like, I'm being helpful by helping her to change. When, as viewers and as herself, it's like, that's the opposite of what I want. Because if you look at the Beauty and the Beast story from Gaston's perspective, Beast is a very viable villain. Beast turned his castle into inanimate objects that might ultimately end in their death.
And imprisoned a young girl.
First, her father, who was clearly
stole a rose or
clearly ill, even when he was imprisoned. How did Beast plan on keeping him alive?
Lots of illegal stuff. He's like a rebel without a cause, man.
and yet, we as viewers and those who enjoy the films, we don't necessarily forget these elements, but we rationalize them. We say...
We sympathize with him because he's a well-rounded character and we see the angles of all of what's going on. That's why Beast is a memorable character.
Because
just totally good characters can get boring after a while.
I mean, it's very interesting. If someone told the story from Gaston's perspective, I bet there was a way you could hate the Beast.
But that's always why I liked Gaston. Gaston is the hero you hate. That's what he is in this story. He's the hero, technically.
Yeah.
When you think about it, in the context of all other Disney films, he should have been the hero.
Right.
But he's the hero you hate in this because you're supposed to sympathize with the big, burly, horned monster. And you don't. You actually, sympathize with him. You completely understand his struggle and why he's the way he is. And you just hate Gaston with a freaking passion because he's such a...
Isn't that interesting, though? Like, if you really sit there and you're like, wow, as a kid, they pulled that off.
Oh, I know. They did.
I liked the
villain.
ugly Beast.
The villain, quote unquote.
And I hated the hero. Like, that's...
Yeah, like, that... Gaston is one of the reasons why arrogance is my number one pet peeve.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was that concept that I incorporated into my current story right now that's on my channel, the finale to Tale of the Lost Narrator. Ink Dye is the Gaston type of character when you compare her to, Curse Word. Curse Word she should be the villain. She's the one killing all the ponies, hundreds of thousands of them.
Doesn't matter what the story is, it's matters who's telling it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was the moment that the people at Disney, because, they were still trying to get over Walt Disney's death, that, after like 20, 30, 25, math is going weird.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and they're finally realizing that what worked for Walt, whose films were like mostly plot driven, and then they finally realized, maybe we should start focusing on our characters a little bit more and building them.
Right.
Like, let's give them some different levels. Like, just Disney, people at Disney getting a wake-up call. And that is why that movie was nominated for an Oscar, but didn't win for some reason.
Oh.
Who won that year? Do you know?
Silence of the Lambs, which is
Well,
actually
still-
kind of a Beauty and the Beast story, personality-wise.
It is a Beauty
I'll
and the
save
Beast
that
story.
for another episode.
And the acting is crazy amazing, too, so I can see why
it's a well-made movie, but I'm still bummed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if it was made any other year, it would have been fine.
Yeah. But yeah, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm really glad that LeFou ended up with a happy ending, or at least a subtle one. That one dude who, in the fight when the wardrobe
He
just dresses
loved
up
the dress up. He was like the major drag queen. He's like,
It's like the moment he realized, like, hey, I actually feels pretty good.
fabulous.
That was probably one
fabulous.
of my absolute favorite moments in that whole movie.
And then at the very end, when everybody's dancing and happy, they just accidentally get into a bunch and they're like,
Hello.
hi.
Yes. I liked that Mrs. Potts kind of sided with LeFou as well.
You're too
Like,
good for him
she-
anyway.
She was just like his sudden friend, and I was just like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Always older women.
And she just seemed
that are
to
friends
suddenly
with-
understand that, it wasn't just a friend thing that you had going on.
It's always older women that befriend gay men. Like, we know this already. That's a thing. What? That is a thing. That's not like...
I think what I really liked was, like, even though technically you didn't really need it, like, he was already a prince, he was spoiled already, but the fact that they added the father to it to show his cruelty, like, how he got to the cruel point, not just a spoiled brat. But
yeah.
I wish
Like-
they would have done more. I really wish they would have explored just a little bit more.
Well, they were already like 2 hours and 11 minutes in.
Good point.
at least a deleted scene.
Well, they did have a deleted scene of in the live action of
The father?
Beast. No, not the father, but I mean of like character, like a backstory. They did do like the song with the mother dying in the extended scene.
No, they did have her. No, that was still in the movie.
It was still in it.
I think you're thinking of the alternate version where the mother
Sings it, right?
Yeah, but they changed it around because then they realized that she looked a little too much like the Enchantress, and people were gonna like.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, they had to like fix some things.
And I wish they would have, like, when the servant said, like, we did nothing to stop it, like, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more context of that, like, to show, like, that they were afraid, but then, like, but then
the
again, they still
abuse.
got punished, and,
From a very comical standpoint, I wish they would have had a scene in the original where Belle's walking around the castle and she sees those stained glass we see in the beginning, and she's just like,
That is a question.
so wait, the rose was enchanted? And you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a story. Gotcha. You know, just
maybe that was added later after the spell. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was very pretty, and did you see any pretty windows on that castle as it was
I never
dark?
thought of that.
As a kid, I was like, did she just never see those stained glass?
I'm just...
Another moment that I loved in the live action, when she started talking to an inanimate brush.
What's your name?
Oh, yes.
I'm like thinking, is she going to talk to the carpet next?
Like I said...
That is the question I had. How many servers does this guy have?
I was going to say, it's the idea of the inanimate objects are a symbolism for psychosis. It's like, come on.
Oh yeah, I think there've been a lot of jokes to that and parody stuff. Speaking of parodies, how about our parodies?
Oh, man. We're going to come to that eventually, right?
You want to talk a little bit about Cat and the Beast?
So, Pinky Tales, for those who are unaware, though I'm hoping they're not, knock on wood, is a parody series where I take popular fairy tales and I rewrite them to be overly comical and involving My Little Pony characters, where Pinkie Pie is the title. I I say driving force, not necessarily the title character, because she's not always the lead, but she's the one telling and mutating the story. And so because Pinky's manic party fun behavior, you would expect things to be comical. And Egghead and the Beast, Twilight was an obvious choice to be Belle because of her love for books. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do, but I also knew that I really wanted to mix it up, because one of my favorite things to do in my audio visual productions, I was like, I don't know what to call them, is throw people off. I love to leave people guessing.
Oh,
and,
man. You didn't even reveal who the Beast was in the audition.
No, I did not.
You admitted that much of a... Oh, yeah. You remember my reaction to the Beast?
Do. Yes. The terrible OC, because it's just perfect.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I was like, the flames?
But I took a lot of...
okay, stop. As soon as he shot the rainbow wings, like, stop.
And, I take a lot of inspiration from Disney, I do, especially specific characters in certain things. Like, I know that there are lots of different adaptations of Cinderella.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Disney characters are just so beloved, and I'm just like, I want to take that character and have fun with them, So I think that making, Pinky was supposed to be Lumiere, but she was too afraid of the terrible OC, so she asked Cheese to do it instead. And, and Beast being, the Beast being this emotional, like, he has a pink diary, and he's like, today I met a girl, and he's just totally emo.
Emo fanfiction character everyone writes.
Was I naked on the Beast?
Who was the rainbow?
Purple
that was Purple
Roseland.
Roseland.
Yes.
Purple Roseland was that one. No, but I did help her
She's Rainbow Dash every time she is a prince.
Yeah, I'm Prince Rainbow
or
Dash.
Darling Dash.
Or Darling Dash.
And or ship with Magpie.
Anytime.
No, Dash Dawn, which was perfect for Dash, was Purple Roseland.
Yeah.
And then the three blondes were Fluttershy's.
Yes! that part threw me. I'm like,
I had a really, really funny audition from a guy doing Fluttershy as a goof. And I remember I picked him, and he sent me a message back, and he's like, why?
Well, it was Scooter Tricks. That's what
he was just joking. He was joking, apparently.
But he had a blast with it, and I loved that. And I focused a lot on the inanimate objects. Yeah. Not more so than Belle and Beast. Beast was kind of a background character in my story, and not on purpose. It's just that most of the comedy and most of the story relied on the others. And people either love or despise the ending of Egghead. I've only ever seen...
I'm sorry, and I know you were worried about that.
It did seem like a get out of jail free card,
that was the epitome of just going through her comments and just laughing my head off because of how many people were so... You got so many comments of like, why is it shining the Beast? And I was like, you know how
that's
weird... There are so many comments of that, and I'm just like...
It's her brother!
I don't know.
Like, there's a reason that one song for Twilight and Shining is a parody.
Yes. So, for those who don't know, and I don't mind spoiling, it ends up being Spike. And all of the characters in the story are so upset that the reveal was not epic enough. It wasn't that it was Spike.
No,
that they just decide, oh fine, the story's over, and they all leave.
No,
it's like, we'll be friends.
No, what broke my heart about that was you had AJ saying, no one likes you. You know I ship AJ and Spike.
Nobody likes you, Spike.
That broke my heart. Because even if they aren't really in love in the show, she cares for him.
Oh, she does. No,
in the next one, you're like, please stop really making hate comments.
Yeah. So I make Pinky really fourth wall breaking and self-aware.
Yeah.
So I had a comment in the next one where Pinky's like, did I mention that I love Spike? Because I love Spike, so please stop leaving hate comments in the comment section. So yes, they either laugh forever and they love it, or they hate it.
I love your comment section on that video. That's like one of my favorite. If I'm feeling bad about myself, I just go onto that section and I just enjoy it.
Well, and I know this is getting a little off track, but I just have to say it for shiggles.
Shiggles.
Is one of our favorite things to do when we're upset and we're depressed is go onto my channel's spam comments and read them out loud to each other. That is probably the most fun we have at night. Like, we'll just go back and forth and read out spam comments to each other.
Want me to do that at one point?
It is so fun. It is so fun.
I mean, that's how that video, Happy Birthday, Meg Pepperonis, came about.
That's how Meg Pepperonis.
That's how that one came about, because we just realized nobody could spell your name.
Yes.
And I've made my own parody of Beauty and the Beast too. If y'all didn't know, also related
your channel.
Okay, if they're just like a random person on Podbean that just found the podcast, or a random person on YouTube, then they wouldn't know.
Or a brand new fan.
Yeah, or a brand new fan. If they didn't know. I also did a My Little Pony based, I call it an audio drama, but I guess an audio visual thing is more appropriate.
There's no word, right? Like, production?
I just call them productions.
People call it animation, when that's not accurate.
No, I can't get away with calling them that. That bothers me.
Anyway, it's called Bride of Discord. I'm a huge shipper of Fluttershy and Discord, who, if you don't watch My Little Pony, is like this chaos lord made up of different animal parts. He's, think Q from Star Trek in monster form. Because it's voiced by Q from Star Trek. I wanted to do a Beauty and the Beast thing with Fluttershy and Discord, once I started shipping them after Keep Calm and Flutter On. But I didn't want to rip off Disney, so I tried just putting it in kind of how would it work still in the My Little Pony universe. Or I did change things around, like have Discord go into hiding for some time, and took a little bit of Bride of the Lindorm King, if you've listened to episode 3. Years later, I realized there are a lot of problems with what I wrote, because 18 years old, there were some things I didn't understand, really didn't understand. That actually might be Stockholm Syndrome. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Same. I go back and look at my first story, and I, let's just say I have fond memories, but I cringe.
I'm afraid to write. I've never written. I'm afraid.
Mag can tell you, when I write, I comb over that with a fine-tooth comb, and I never shut up until it's perfect in my head.
But no matter what, I know you can look back on it with fondness.
Yeah, like, there were elements of Disney I took, like, something I did realize, the heroine did have her own sense of agency, like, even in the situation of, like, I want a bride if you want your princesses back. Like, originally I was just gonna have him pick Fluttershy, but, like, no, I wanted to make it her choice.
It's also a reluctant choice, and I liked that about that character, because
it's Fluttershy.
Fluttershy will make the right decision, but she's also really, she second guesses a lot, like, when she got into that situation in your story, and I hope I'm okay talking, expanding on it. I could sense the regret. But at the same time, she's like, I know what I'm doing's for right, I've got to do it for that. It wasn't until much further in the story that she realized, no, I'm also doing this for me. Because she was so focused on helping other ponies that she didn't even let herself, come to terms with what was going on around her.
Yeah, because that was something, that's one thing about not just the original fairy tale Disney version, but like, Belle doesn't return until the beast is dying, or AKA, but mom is going to kill him, and so, like I was gonna think, like, Discord was gonna try to win her back with a romantic gesture, but then I'm thinking, no, then it'll be like she's only coming back because he wants her back, so just, he does want her back, but he doesn't do anything, but just let her make the decision on her own.
He'd already made the leap. It was her turn to go the rest of the distance, basically.
Yeah, just like I have, like, when she comes back, like, finally asking the question he'd been asking every night, do you love me? It's like, well, you never said.
and then also, like, how you gave that little backstory about Fluttershy being teased by the Colts.
Yeah.
Like, I actually relate to that a lot, because that actually happened to me. But, how she became so reluctant in the first place, that is, like, I really liked how you made that be the reason.
I think another thing that I like too is Discord's not understanding. Is even in the end, even in the end when he kind of like hypnotized her, he still thought that he was not necessarily doing the right thing, but he still thought it was in his right to do that, and it wouldn't mess up everything.
He wasn't really in the place to be doing the right thing, because he, been last several millennia being this totally bad guy, just doing everything for his own interests.
To suddenly, in the span of what, a year.
I mean, you've already seen he will just manipulate ponies at will.
Exactly.
He doesn't do that at first, but then there's when he starts panicking, like, oh, I'm gonna lose her forever now, and those ponies are gonna take her away from me, not just physically, but emotionally. Just like,
and as
it ends up happening anyway. But
and as the My Little Pony show has taken that exact same type of character development for Discord by continuing to have him mess up even after the seasons have gone on, and 9 times out of 10, it's Fluttershy that reels him in.
oh yeah, if
You know.
you want to still be friends, you'll help us clean up this mess you made.
Exactly. And he still delights in being wicked once in a while, but he comes back to being the way he is because of her. So it's
He'll never hurt Fluttershy, though.
absolutely never. And I think
They took Fluttershy? Where?
and there's subtle hints of Fluttercord.
There's a reason I ship them. Sorry, KP.
I mean, even
listening.
Spike in the show made reference to Fluttercord.
You don't have tea with Fluttershy every week because you like tea.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that is a pretty gentle thing for you to do.
And in turn, they did the episode, I don't remember the name, where Fluttershy went to his place. And he's like, I'm going to have to change for her. And she taught him, no. I like that you're crazy and chaotic. I like that you're different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Like, it gives me
And
something different to explore.
Yeah, and what I did in Bride of Discord was, like, initially he's kind of lonely, and then when Fluttershy comes along, like, oh, I can use this to my advantage, make sure I never get put in stone again if I get her on my side, and then he's just, like, trying every romantic cliche in the book, which is not working, because...
Right.
Yeah, it's not
Because it was the wrong intention.
Yeah, not until he starts appealing to your interests, like, again,
And
what I
asking
took from
Sakura.
Disney. Yeah, asking for...
Ask Sakura everything.
I
So
just-
I have a question
Go
about your
ahead.
series. Is Discord still immortal?
Yes.
Okay, so then how does that work with Fluttershy?
I didn't touch upon it a lot. I really should have done, like, a chapter or two, or, like, an epilogue or something about it, but... Okay, he used his magic to make her immortal.
Okay.
Yeah, it was subtly mentioned in the Daughter Discord fanfic. I didn't really bring it up that much in the audio drama.
Now that I think about it, well, is it because of Crystal's had the chaos magic that she was able to almost kill him, or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait
that
a
was
second,
the
he's
idea.
immortal.
You're like,
That was
wait a
the
second.
that was the idea. That was
Okay.
the idea. Yeah.
That was one thing I always wondered. Because I was just like, I don't know how he'd deal with her aging and, leaving him.
Yeah, because that was because I showed Chrysalis, like, when she's battling Screwball, she just suddenly poofs up something really weird, like, well, that's silly but effective. I like this new power.
Yeah.
I really got to get around to writing this, like, one shot at one time, but, like, I think, like, this would have been a talk they had, like, before they finally get married, like, a year after the whole shenanigans, and they're like, well, I'm immortal, I'm gonna live forever, and you're not, and so what are we gonna do? It's like, well, everyone will grow around us, and, but I'll also be lonely, and I'll be watching you grow old, and I suppose I could grow old too, but I don't know if I'm ready for death, and then I think what they said, okay, so we cannot really make this decision yet, so how about you just make me immortal now, and we'll decide when we want to let that go.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really need to write that.
Do it.
I didn't mean to complicate things. I was just genuinely curious about that.
You
Yeah.
hear it first, folks. She's getting another story.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a reason that we get, like, a lot of fanfics of this, and why this gets adapted over and over again, like, whether Disney or people get inspired by Disney a lot, because this is a story that's, like, encourages girls. The girl's pretty much the hero, taking control, showing us the looks aren't everything. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, that happens a lot. It feels...
Well, and-
What?
No, sorry.
You get brain freezes and you're like...
I was just going to say, do you want to touch on your Beauty and the Beast?
I was gonna say I have my own Beauty and the Beast.
Ooh.
The Tale of the Lost Narrator series that the two main characters, Beloved Magpie and Cursor. Basically, I took my OC and decided, hey, I'm gonna write a really long backstory that I originally thought was the biggest pile of cringe, and people love it. It just blows my mind still to
You
this
did
day.
a self-insert?
Yeah, I did do the self-insert, but it's
Yes.
Yes, it is gory. But the characters are reversed. I took traits from Mag and put them into my OC and put traits from me and threw them into her OC.
We joke all the time that the character of her OC is me.
Yeah.
And she is...
the other one.
Yeah.
I reversed them, but that's beyond the point. But Curse Word is an immortal pony who basically she rots out. She becomes a monster because her words literally can damn ponies. And she spends thousands or hundreds of years searching for her beloved because she's cursed away the only pony she ever loved.
Wow.
With her own words. And little does she know, though, the whole time, Beloved is in this purgatory and watching Curse kill all these ponies.
Yeah.
So it's the idea, especially in the finale, of with the beast complex of, am I worthy of being loved because of how horrible I am?
She's a monster now.
She's a monster
How
now.
can she have her kind of...
Yes.
Except for in your story, Belle is not innocent.
No, but Beauty is also screwed up. Beloved has been collecting all the souls in order to hopefully gather enough of them to restore Curse Word.
Yeah.
So they're both screwed up ponies. They're both, everyone's just horrible.
But I would consider that to be a form of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, it is a form of Beauty and the Beast, because
just without a physical... space.
Yes.
For it to take place in.
Yes, there's no physical space for it. So in the finale though, I definitely kind of tie up those loose ends finally with that. But yeah, the idea.
And for those who are interested in it, viewers' discretion.
Oh yeah, viewer discretion is advised. This is mature material.
It is mature in the sense of violence and gore.
Yes, violence and gore.
Yeah, it is pretty
Can you
dark.
just tell me the timestamps where it gets gory, and then I could just skip those little areas?
I mean,
because I want to watch.
I mean,
Okay. It makes
you recorded for it.
I know you're in it.
it is Beauty and the Beast actually is a pretty darker story. Like I heard that when Disney was first making the animated version, that they had a lot of darker elements, like having the scene where the Beast is carrying a corpse of a deer through the woods, because he is an animal. In the Jean Cocteau version, which, actually pretty inspired Disney too, they showed the Beast, an animal runs by and then it's like, excuse me, and goes off to chase after it. It's like, still an animal. What I didn't tell you about the lover, who's kind of the Gaston, I'd say, in the Jean Cocteau version, is that at the very end, spoiler warning, he's trying to rob the Beast Castle of the jewels, but, and at the same time, the Beast is dying, and then the Gaston turns into a beast, and then the Beast turns to look like Gaston.
Oh. See, I did that with mine.
You sure you've never watched that movie?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh my gosh.
The Gaston is Ink Dye, who's voiced by Mary Medley, and the Ink Dye as a character thinks that she is she's innocent because the only thing she's ever done is accidentally kill a cult, and Curse has killed hundreds of thousands of ponies.
So how dare you compare her?
Yeah, how dare you compare me even though I'm the monster, but she gets experimented on and she becomes this ink monstrosity that looks completely horrifying compared to what Curse Word is.
It's so jarring to hear her in Bride of Discord as Fluttershy and turn around.
Oh, Ink Dye says some of the most screwed up stuff ever. Because she revels in the idea of hurting ponies and how,
but she's always right.
But she's always right. It's just she's the Gaston of pompousness. It's Gaston.
Wow.
Yeah, it's when Mary Medley was recording those lines, she even told me, she's like, I never thought I'd ever voice a character like this.
I remember she recorded a certain part for the finale I won't reveal because I know that it's still but she sent me a message and she was like, I need to just apologize to you right now because I said some stuff in there and it was directed towards your character and I just feel so bad about what I said that I need to tell you that I am sorry. And I just laughed.
Oh,
so funny.
But yeah, in the Cocteau version, they were real, a lot of people were mad at the end of the movie, that he had turned to look like the guy we were supposed to hate. In fact, Greta Garbo famously said in the theater, "Bring back my Beast!"
Aww.
Yeah.
So in that movie, I have not seen it, but in that movie, is it implied that Gaston might be able to have a redemption arc at some point?
Oh, yeah. Well, his name's not Gaston, but
I'm sorry.
Gaston's character.
I just forget his original name.
blonde-haired dude.
Yeah, like when Belle comes back to visit her family for like a week or so, like, he is talking about like, you know, you don't need the beast anymore. Like, I know it's scary for you and I can take you away from here. Like, it does seem he does like her, but he's also kind of a bit selfish. I mean, he does try to steal from the beast.
Right.
And, like, you know, steal a gold, not hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to watch that one. It sounds interesting.
It is in French.
I watched it a long time ago, like French class, and you watched it for French class?
No, I watched it for the Beauty and the Beast class. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah. That one has homosexual subtext too. That director was gay, and this was the 40s, so
yeah,
it's even
wow.
Yeah.
Whee! All the subtext.
Yeah, I know. Like really. So yes, a lot of people made that connection.
You know.
You know.
Aren't you glad to be alive when you are?
Right?
It's not even like 5-year-old Losty made that connection.
So there are like any last points we need to bring or?
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Just okay. We're getting late, so we can just take a few questions from the patron listening right now. Just text in the Skype.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What future writing projects are you going to pursue?
Okay, me. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm trying to find time to write original stuff. Yeah, actually, I recently published a short story through a literary magazine. I was so excited about that. It's called The Voice at My Bedside. It was originally for a Valentine's Day challenge, like for forever ago now. And like it just said, you know, write a love story. It can be as unconventional as you think. And I'm still kind of in that creepy writing mode. And I had always thought, well, what if somebody kind of fell in love with the Grim Reaper, like as they're in bed and death comes to there and yeah. Yeah, like I kept thinking the concept, like, okay, so what kind of death am I going for here? Because there's been so many personifications of death, and
Absolutely.
Then I start thinking, should death even have a gender? So like, it's just kind of gender ambiguous, and not even the person we're hearing from. Well, the girl we're hearing from is a girl that's narrating, and she's dying of cancer, and like for 2 weeks now, she's been hearing this voice at her bedside. She can't tell if it's male or female, and just this voice that's been comforting her, telling her about this place that's beautiful. It's kind of like a love story and like an exception of death. I just did it for the online bit. Like they said, you can either submit online for free or you can submit for the print version, but you have to pay a reading fee. And I submitted for the online version, and then a short time later, I got the email saying, "Oh, I really love this story. I think it might be good for a print version." It's like, well, really?
Wow. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the spooky mode. I've been taking like those master classes online and taking the one with
You're talking to the right people.
like I've been taking R.L. Stein's class, trying to learn more from him, especially when you're writing for middle schoolers and young adults,
Right.
like different audiences. Of course, he has a totally different method of writing. Just kind of, take and pick some of those things. There's one book that I'm still trying to figure out. It's called The Lake Guardian. It's a story I came up with the idea when I was 12, based on a dream, and the story's just changed every kind of few years. Mm-hmm. But the gist of it, a girl, she's recently lost her twin sister, and then she kind of ends up in the place of death where her sister is, but she's not entirely dead yet. And I realized later after a death class, well, maybe she's not entirely dead because, she's dead for a minute and then she's revived through CPR or something. And
Right.
yeah, and then she's kind of just in between and having an out-of-body experience, and then she finds out that she's like the lake guardian who's supposed to guide souls to the next path. Yeah, it's a work in progress. This is change every few years.
Well, that sounds really intriguing. You should definitely pursue that.
Yeah, it's just
especially
sit down
if you
and
got
write.
people saying it's good for print version. Do it.
One of my future writing projects that I really want to do is, ironically, Beauty and the Beast based. It is a Halloween centered where what if Beauty and the Beast happened in a haunted house?
Ooh.
It's Silent Hill meets Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
And my body is ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, There's one horror story I did write, but it actually got like I finished it, but then it got rejected by a publisher. At least they told me why, so I know the problem with it. It's like kind of a play on, the Carrie-esque kind of character, but it's like the smile of Helen Donnie. Well, the protagonist is this Indian American girl, and by Indian I mean India.
Right.
Yeah. And she was new at the school, and she meets this girl who's smiling all the time. Like, really.
Welcome. Sorry.
Yeah, and she doesn't know why she's always smiling, but she's she's always carrying this red bottle around her neck and then just putting it to her lips for something, and yeah, and then I don't want to spoil it because this story's not finished yet. Anyway, I had the mother there who's like this just standard conservative Christian character, and the editor's right. She was a little too cliche with that. Like, I really should think about, okay, so she's still got to be kind of a reason for messing up this kid, but she's got to have some depth somehow, so how do I do that? Yeah. So that's something I'm still trying to figure out how to fix. Yeah. So, okay, so
So if you ever need advice, you know where to come.
okay, so our patron doesn't have any questions. Pretty much said we answered all of them. It's almost midnight where we are.
Whee!
Okay, any, last minute thoughts? I am still trying to figure out my topic for next week, for next 2 weeks. Yeah, I know what I'm doing for Christmas season, though. I'm going to be doing The Grinch, and I'm going to be doing The Enchanted Christmas of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
That's cool.
Feels appropriate. December. Yeah, okay, so, just one more note. If you want to keep this podcast going and probably have more guests, or maybe have these people come back. Yeah.
If you're not bored of us.
All right.
Become a patron, pledge a certain amount of money a month. It doesn't have to be that much, can even just be $1.
$1.
And you have my forever thanks, along with some other perks. Just click the light green button in the right-hand corner of the screen, or click the link in the description below. So, good night, everybody, and remember, true beauty comes from within, and...
Don't be an arrogant douche.
Yeah, and if someone is an arrogant douche to you, you have a right to say no. You have a right to say no. Right.
Bye. Bye.
I love how we're waiting for a lot. It's like,
That Basie was perfect, too.